number 4. I'm going to talk about stenciling, and I'm going to use 2 glazes, but I'm going to put a stencil onto the surface first. I'll apply 1 glaze, take the stencil off, apply a 2nd glaze. So the areas where the stencil is going to be will have 1 glaze layer, and the areas outside of the stencil will have 2 glaze layers. And this could also just be another way similar to the previous side of having an area where you want bare clay to show with glaze around it. But for this one, we do want to use 2 glazes. So my stencil, I'm going to just start using some masking tape. Basically, any kind of sticker that's something that will stick to the bisqueware is going to work. And this is some thin one, and now I think about it, I'm going to grab a little bit thicker one. And that's basically because even though I'm going to start with this bigger piece of tape, I'm going to use like an X-Acto knife to cut out some shapes. Rather than just using a big block of tape, because that's kind of boring. You know, this is one of the things, if you have access to like a vinyl, one of those like Cricut cutters, this can be a really fun way to cut out shapes on a Cricut on some vinyl and just have all sorts of different shapes of stickers. But I'm going to go a little bit more old-fashioned with it. So just some real basic shapes, nothing too fancy. And then I'm going to be able to pour glaze on this side here in a moment. So here's side number 4 with the stencils. I'm going to get the first glaze on. So you can't really see a whole lot yet, but we'll see here in a second as this dries up, I'll be able to pull off those stencils. You can start to see them showing up a little bit. Okay, so there's my stencil side. And I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife basically to peel these up, get that started. It's hard to do one-handed, at least while holding a phone. Okay, and in a few moments this will be dry enough to put the next glaze on. And again, that glaze will overlap this first glaze, but be just one layer glaze in these sections. So first glaze on side number 4 is dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip in the second glaze. And there we go. The stenciled areas now just have one layer of glaze, whereas the other areas have 2. And that's all for this side.